What's up, guys? Iceman here. Welcome to Meditations. So isn't it strange? You look around, and just the way that things are set up today. You have the man and woman living in the same house. Every morning, they do their little routines, right? He shaves his beard a little bit. He does his hair. Puts on a little suit sometimes not. And she does similar things. She'll do her makeup. Lipstick, a little bit of... What do they put on? Stuff on the face? I don't know. Eyeliner. Blush. They still use blush? Make the hair nice and straight. Shoes, heels, things like that. And then they go off their separate ways. Are you kidding me? Isn't that ridiculous? What a strange, and as far as I see it, new phenomena that is. We get looking our best in the morning and then go in your separate ways. I mean, I don't do that. My wife and I are hustlers, all right? So we both stay at home. I'm not trying to boast about it, though. I ain't looking for any Pinocchio effect or whatever. You know, I want it to come back and bite me. But, I mean, it's been that way for years. But I wanted it that way because I had concerns. Just from what I've observed in the real world, amongst the people that I knew and know, it's like, not if I can help it. So they go off their separate ways, looking their best. And of course, in front of your peers, you're kind of presenting yourself in your best state. You know what I mean? And then they come home, often at different times, and they are just worn out from the day. She undoes her hair, she puts on her sweats, she jumps in bed, she gets on her phone. He goes off and plays video games or something. Wow, what a disaster. What is that going to do to the perception of both of them? Let me know in the comments below. It's really going to mess things up. And it really has. But that's not the important part, all right? This is a multifaceted thing. That is a factor. And it's huge. Don't most of the infidelities and all that, cheating on the spouse and all that, don't those take place or have to do with the workplace? I'm almost sure it does. I don't even have to see a study for this. I just know it. I'm not a betting man. Not a betting Iceman. But if I were, I don't know, I would say like maybe 90% of them are workplace related. So maybe that's one thing to dissect, if you will. Get out of the workplace. And if you're a guy, I think it would be ideal to work in a place with just a bunch of other guys, just like how it was back in the day. some lumber mill or something, coal mine. No, don't do that. You want to do whatever you will. I mean, we need the coal miners, I think. But nonetheless, point being, that's a very important factor. Just imagine all the temptations and things that are stirred up with that phenomena. All right, and here's another thing. Very, very, very important. The way the whole dating scheme has been aligned in modern times, social media, for example, it's a new thing. It's a new phenomena as well, where at the tip of our fingers, we have these devices that connect us with anyone we've ever met, potentially. High school classmates, college classmates. That's another thing. College. I mean, we need those who are educated. We need the doctors, we need the lawyers, we need the engineers. But the current iteration of things is a bit concerning is all. Oh, they blast out of there at 18 years old and live on their own and just are like, okay, go do what you will. Intermingle. Have the sippy sippies, enjoy yourselves. Don't rush to settle down. In fact, don't settle down at all. Things like that. But that's not what I'm talking about. The social media thing. What it has done. I remember years and years ago when I was a young man. Oftentimes the guys who had good personalities or whatever, with a little bit of tenacity about them, we would call them the playas, all right? The thugs, bad boys. You could almost be anyone and still have some success with women. Now that's another problem in and of itself. The promiscuity. Is that how you say that? Promiscuity? Just the enablance in modern times, how we don't just partner up one-to-one. If that were the case, everything would be solved. But that's not the case. It's no longer one-to-one, Things would probably funnel up and work out okay if it were one-to-one in general, like it was in the old days. But that's not the case. So, it used to be where the guys with confidence, charisma, even if he was like, no offense to some of you guys, but even if he was like really short or something, chicks don't really like short guys, which I know is understandable, but still, the short guys could even get women. I remember seeing handfuls of them. Tall guys, fat guys, skinny guys, short guys, this and that. Because they could work on their attitude and their abilities and their things like that. Social skills. But that even, I think, has fallen apart. Not entirely. But it's fallen apart a lot. Because now it's become so optimized where women, for example, in this case, can get on the apps and just, I don't know which way they swipe. I've never been on these apps. I mean, I tampered with them in my early 20s. Met a few chicks here and there, but I didn't like the apps because I knew that what kind of quality of a female are you going to find on those things, Now, I'd find them out in person, but when you go on the apps, think about how, she meets you on a date and then she's going to go, the next day with another guy on a date. Hell, she's probably going to go the same day that she's gone with you on a date if she leaves early or something. She's having just hundreds and hundreds of messages a day, which is another facet of this whole thing. the limiting factor in human reproduction. Who is that? Well, that's the female. So the female are the one taking in and rejecting, and the men are the one who are pushing out, just trying to, striving, and either attempting or failing, or attempting and failing, or just not attempting at all. So the females are the ones who are offered the vast selection. You know what I mean? I feel like it's pretty common knowledge. Any random guy could go out there and ask 100 females if they want to, hang out with him, if he's good looking, let's say, and he'll probably still get rejected by 90% of them plus. If a really, really good looking chick went and done that, probably about close to 100% of the guys would be down. There's some other variables involved, if they were single or whatever, or not, but nonetheless, the limiting factor in human reproduction. That's why the whole dating scheme works as is. It's risky for a female to interact with a male because she risks pregnancy and the long-term effects of that. With a man, there's no risk. In modern times, there is when it comes to the social nets and child support and all that other stuff. But from a natural primal standpoint, that's why they're the limiting factor, and it takes them forever to accumulate and to outwork their interaction, whereas the male is just, every single day he can climax or whatever, and it's just like, doesn't even matter. But the point is, what social media has done, with all that stuff being said, it's allowed for women to be even more selective. Because like I said, they're the ones who are selecting. So that's why they're getting hundreds and hundreds of messages a day, this and that. It doesn't even matter what quality they are. And just deflecting, just going out to see whoever they want if they want to. So they've optimized it, their choice selection, where it's no longer the case where it's just the guy in the town who's pretty good at the game can get the chick, and then another guy beneath him can get another one, because there's just not enough to go around. There's not enough way to interact with them. But it's now, she's not just looking for the best guy in the town or her school. She's looking for the best guy in the freaking region. You know what I mean? Because why would she not? And what this is doing is, ultimately, they're picking like 5% of men. The top 5% of men is who they're interacting with. Whereas the rest of the men, the 95% of them, don't get any interaction. They're invisible, right? The invisible man, is that what they're calling it? And we're seeing that on a massive scale. And a concerning part about that, I guess you could say, is what is that going to do to civilization? Probably a lot of nasty things. You have an unnatural amount of men who are unable to compete or interact with women, and they're not able to find a mate. It's going to cause a bunch of dissension and chaos, and I think that's what we're seeing unfold, right? And it's just going to keep getting worse the more optimal these things become. And you could get like you could really try to dissect this down to its core, try to figure out what's really the cause here. We could work our way down there a little bit if we wanted to, but I have a couple other things I want to point out first. I don't want to make this video too damn long. If men had morals, if all men would say, well, I'm only going to have one female partner, that would solve things. If all women would say, well, I'm only going to have one male partner, that would solve things, as long as that partner is loyal to her as well. But that's probably not going to happen, right? This is all part of the dissension of morality. Some say it began back in World War II or whatever, when the workplace was opened up, women were forced to go to work. Then there was the whole intermingling and competition of the sexes, and it stirred up this whole thing. Could be true. And how do you connect this with the Bible? For those who are interested, well, some say that we're in the short season of Satan running the show, deceiving the nations. And perhaps that has a part in all of this. Perhaps that has a part in all of the fake wars, this and that stirred up civilization, that outsourced our manufacturing, that forced 2 incomes in the household, forced both to go out to work, forced everything else, you know what I mean? And there's so many factors here. Another one is that guys are so visual, and they become complacent. They get addicted to porn, right? They'll watch the porn on the websites, and they'll be deceptively satisfied, and they'll be addicted to this, to where then they don't really have the inkling any longer to go out and meet a female, because they can relieve themselves and just crash out and be a lazy bum. Play video games, you know what I mean? Because why would they go and seek a female if they're already gaining their end reward just by staring at a screen for a few minutes? And they give up, I think. They'll look around and they'll see, well, I can't compete with that guy, and he's getting all 50 of the women in this area. And so I might as well just stay home and turn into even more of a slob. Yes, but there's a lot of things to dissect over this whole thing, to break down. But it seems like when it comes down to this game of selection, and I think there have been studies on this, women are okay with sharing a guy. You know what I mean? She'd rather share a guy of higher quality in her mind than have a guy to her own of lower quality. So that's what they're doing. It's been optimized fully, and these top guys or whatever are intermingling with all the women, with like 90% of the women. And the women are okay with that, and he'll hang out with her once or twice a week. She'll never know if they're boyfriend or girlfriend or not. Like, don't we all know people like this? And she'll just let that cycle continue. And there's probably 1,000 nice guys who are invisible to her, who she doesn't see as options. And then she'll probably be one who complains about how there are no good guys. You know what I mean? But she doesn't see them. That's the thing. But are these really good guys? I don't know. Like I said, they're probably addicted to porn. They're probably doing all sorts of other things. But I mean, yeah, I just wanted to make a video on that. The state of things, you know what I mean? There's a bunch of guys who are alone. I don't think women really suffer from that, because if they wanted to, in almost all cases, whether or not she's 400 pounds or 100 pounds, she could probably go on the internet and find a guy who's willing to hang out, you know what I mean? But that's not the case with men. Men could constantly get rejected, no matter what supposed quality of female they're seeking. But yeah, I'm just curious what you guys have to say about that. And what is this going to lead to? Like I said, I'm married. I've been married for 8 years, I think. 9 years. And I found a great woman. Yeah. Found a great lady. So, I mean, I'm really fortunate in that regard. I mean, I remember being in the dating game, and I did aim to be competitive, and I strive to, be socially, whatever, emboldened, this and that. But when I found one that I thought was great, and I was like, I would like this lady to live with me and to be a part of my life, because that's just how we were made, right? We're made to help each other, be one with one together. You know what I mean? That's how it was with Adam and Eve, right? I mean, maybe it's okay to have a couple more over here, as long as, they're okay with it. It probably has to be the women. I don't think the women will accept a couple of guys. I don't think guys won't be able to accept that, is the thing, because of what's embedded in their nature. But I mean, we're made to, be paired up like that, because it makes life good and easy and well and helpful, and you got somebody to lean on when you need them. I've been finding that out more than ever, because I hurt myself a couple of good times in the gym working out. And my wife has been there for me more than anyone. That I've been helped a lot. But you know what I mean? Like, that's kind of how it's supposed to be set up. So what do you do with this current iteration of things? I mean, like I said, I think the going off into the workplace has really screwed it up, coupled with social media. How anytime a guy and a girl, his boyfriend, girlfriend, or husband or wife, even if they get in an argument, one or the other can just go on Facebook and start talking to whoever they knew in high school or college. It's just crazy. Or their workplace. Like, this was never a thing before until recent times. I mean, it's like only 20 or 30 years old. The ability to do that. So it's throwing a curveball into the whole mix of social interaction and the dating game. And damn. It's like Pandora's box being opened or whatever, and you can't close that shit. Unless if you unplug the grid. But anyway, what do you guys have to say about that? Let me know in the comments below, and I'll see you tomorrow. Peace be with you.